welcome to Better Love and Sex. I am your host, Devi Ward, and today is my birthday! Yay!
Yay!
I get to do a show for my birthday. And to celebrate my birthday, I am here with one of my best friends and mentors, Isa Maria. And, say that again, Isa?
Hi, Devi. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And hi, everybody listening. And thank you so much for tuning in and joining us this evening for my birthday celebration, my birthday bash. We are going to have some fun. We're going to talk about compassionate communication, which is one of my very favorite tools to use and also makes my heart blossom and grow on a daily basis and ever perfecting it. I'm certainly not perfect at it, but it's something that I continue to explore and continue to cultivate within my own heart and my own awareness and my communication patterns. And so we're here with my mentor, as I said, Isa Maria. Isa Maria, I have been working with her since 2006. That's a long time ago. How many years is that? It's almost 2014. So 8 years. 8 years, Isa! You're one of my longest relationships.
Yeah. I've seen your life change so much in these 8 years.
Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, a wonderful blossoming and growing process. And so I encountered Isa in 2006 in Kauai at a little NVC class. And for those of you that don't know what NVC is, it's nonviolent communication. And we're going to talk about, a lot of people don't like the word nonviolent communication anymore, so some of us call it compassionate communication. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the languaging of it in just a bit here. But I'm going to share the story with you all about how I came to begin practicing this communication modality and how I began mentoring with Miss Isa Maria. So it was about 2006, I think it was probably February or March, and there was a group of people on Kauai, and they were getting together a couples NVC group. And interestingly enough, it was kind of like, for me, it was kind of like my experience of Tantra. I wasn't really interested in learning how to improve my communication, so initially I wasn't very drawn to it as a practice. I didn't really see the value of it. But I started to explore it a little bit, and the couples who were part of the group spoke with me about it quite a bit, trying to draw me into the group. And I wasn't part of a couple at that time, so that was also one of the reasons why I wasn't particularly drawn to it. But around that same time, I think it was around the time of the Super Bowl, so forgive me if my dates are off, but I'm not a football follower, so I don't really know when the Super Bowl is, but I think it was around February or March. And one of my cousins committed suicide. Very unexpectedly. No warning, just he was there one day and then he was gone the next. And for me, that was the catalyst to begin learning this style of communicating, because what I understood was that it was a way to connect with people compassionately and a way to hear people compassionately and listen to people compassionately and pretty much provide the space of empathy so that people could heal. And so for me, that was like I said, the catalyst or the impetus to begin learning this style of communication so that I could show up and be present for other people who are in pain. So Isa, my dear friend, there's a lot of noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. I'm writing. I'm rushing to grab papers to write down some of the things you're saying because I don't want to forget. Can I just reflect back one thing I just heard you say?
Yes, please do.
I just heard you say you wanted to provide a space of empathy for people to heal. Yes. And I just wanted to savor that for a minute because I think that, for me, that is the central magic of why NVC is so powerful, because it is a healing through giving loving attention, loving, accepting attention. That's what empathy really is bringing your conscious presence to another person. So instead of making it about you and how you're feeling, being willing to really witness and fully unconditionally accept the other person exactly where they are, not trying to fix them, help them, understand, explain, analyze, educate, or correct them, but just bring the medicine of your presence to another person, and that's actually a healing, that's one of the most healing things we can do as human beings, for ourselves and others.
So how do we do that? So NVC is essentially the process for doing that, because it's easy to say we're going to show up and bring our presence, but we're so patterned to argue and to defend and to educate and, and to try and, make it all better. Don't cry, don't feel your emotions, just whatever, mask them and push them to the side. So how do we actually show up as that? How do we become medicine?
That's a beautiful question. Step one is stop and slow down and breathe and get present into your body. Become aware that you're in your body. Get out of your head, out of thinking about it, understanding it, figuring out why, figuring out what to do, and down into more, some people call it the heart. Since we're in a Tantra context, for me, it's the whole body. It's the whole inner wisdom. It's the wisdom inside the womb for a woman, the wisdom inside of our physical, which is the same thing as our spiritual being. So that's step one, is stop and get out of the head into the body awareness. And then I would say the mechanics or the tools of NVC, if you were to boil it down to one simple thing, is get into a mindset of curiosity. What is this other person experiencing? What are they feeling? And what are they longing for?
I love that even better than saying need, because, so just for those of you who haven't heard of nonviolent communication, it is basically it's a technique. It's a process of observation. It's a formula. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a formula of observation, feeling, need, request. But for a lot of people, the word need is very triggering because they don't want to say needy. They don't want to be needy. They don't want to talk about their needs. So I love what you just said about what is it that we're longing for.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, because everybody's longing. Everybody is longing to live the fulfillment of their life, to live in harmony with their values. We live our life in a constant dance of longing and being filled, and then being hungry again, and then being filled. We are tired and we're longing for rest, and then we wake up and we're longing for activity, for example.
Very beautiful. Yeah. So would you be willing to just clarify the formula, the four-part formula: observation, feeling, need, request? Okay.
Yes. And again, the formula is only here to serve a consciousness, to develop and cultivate a consciousness. The formula by itself has no life in it and isn't effective. So when people say, I tried using NVC and it didn't work, what that means is they thought that they could use the formula and say the correct words, and that actually isn't, that without the consciousness, that is dead. But we use the formula in order to guide our attention inward, and to guide our attention toward our awareness, toward our consciousness. So the step one is observation. So you want to take an example?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite examples that I like to use with students. John walked in the door and didn't say hello to me.
Beautiful. So that was an observation. She didn't say, John doesn't like me anymore. She didn't say, John's being an asshole today. She didn't say, John's being unfriendly. She just said an observation. Observation is the thing that a movie camera would pick up. It's a completely non-analyzed, non-emotion charged witnessing of the physical event that happened, so that we begin our communication with by referring to something that everybody would agree happened. So we're not starting with argument.
Okay, so because if John walked in the door and didn't say hello to me, in most of our languaging before NVC, what I would say is, John's being a real dick tonight. right?
Yes.
And that's basically, so if I go up to John and say, you're being a dick tonight, like I'm immediately starting with an accusation and a argument.
Exactly. And the point of nonviolent communication is connection. The point is to connect with what's going on inside of me and connect with what's going on inside of you, and to have the best chance of you being able to connect with what's going on inside of me. And if I don't attack you, you're more likely to be interested in what's going on with me. That's why when Devi just mentions that he walked in the room and didn't speak to her, she's not creating a situation where he is already closed to her.
So the important piece of that, though, is I think for me, so the way I teach and practice NVC is mostly as a self-awareness practice. Because if John walks in the door and doesn't say hello to me, and I immediately think, well, he's being a dick tonight, I have to translate what my feelings are and what my needs are.
Yes.
And if I don't do that, or what I'm yearning for, what I would have liked instead, and if I don't do that, then I seriously am just going to walk up to John and say, you're being a dick tonight, because I'm not in touch with my own feelings. I'm not in touch with my own pain.
Exactly. So thank you for pointing out the crux of NVC, which is that the first step is always self-empathy. The first step is always connecting with what's going on inside of me before I wonder what's going on with someone else. Because if I'm not aware, like you said, if I'm not aware of what's going on with me, then I'm going to unconsciously use conventional language, which is usually my judgment comes first.
Okay. So that's key, I think, for many people, because when we first learn NVC, it's like a tool to talk to, like resolve difficulties in relationship and talk to other people. And yet the gem of it is that it's primarily about resolving conflict within myself, and then I can support the resolution of conflict in relationships if I choose to, or just even be able to give empathy. Exactly.
There's a saying that says, if you can't give empathy, you need empathy. So if we're not giving ourselves attention, compassionate attention for what is going on inside of us, we are not able to give someone else compassionate attention. We can pretend to by using the techniques without the consciousness, but first, we need to have some connection with our own internal landscape.
Okay, so if we're in too much pain ourselves, then we're not actually able to give empathy for another person's pain.
Right. Well, if we're in too much pain and not holding space for it, not creating, not having compassion with our own pain, we can be in a huge amount of pain and be accepting ourselves while we're in that pain, and then we have aware attention available. But if we're in a lot of pain and busy having thoughts about that pain that are resistant thoughts, we're either attached to some outcome, or we're just trying to get away from the pain by thinking about things that are numbing things, or thinking about strategies, or trying to mentally work something out. That's when it's not the pain, it's what we're doing with the pain that blocks us from being able to receive another person.
So what do we do if we're in that much pain that we can't rest with it? Because I know intimate relationships, just so y'all know, like the more intimate the relationship is, the harder it is to have space at times, because the triggers are so alive and the pain is so alive. And so I know a lot of couples are like, well, NVC, we can't do it when we're mad at each other. And it's because there's so much pain, right? So what do you suggest for people when both people, their pain is so alive that they can't hold space for either themselves or each other?
Well, it's easier to get attention from a third person who is skilled at really just giving attention, really just listening, and not getting emotionally involved themselves. So I always enjoy getting attention from another person, like just asking someone if they'd be willing to just be with me while I just talk and feel. So that's one thing that's possible to do. Another thing is be with yourself. Take some space apart and really give yourself some attention, but not just any attention. The kind of attention that is actually healing and is actually brings relief is, for me, is questions like, how does this feel? How am I feeling? And what do I wish for? What do I wish was happening instead? And then what would it feel like to have it be the way I wish it was? Like, for example, pretend I wish I'm feeling angry, and underneath of that, I'm feeling lonely, and I'm wishing for a trust between myself and my partner. I'm wishing to be really seen as I am and accepted as I am, and have the kind of trust that I would feel toward that person if that was going on. And then I imagine, what would it feel like to trust? What would it feel like to know that I'm really being seen and loved as I am? How does that feel? And so I pause for a moment and find the place in me that can imagine that sense. And usually you can imagine it easier, say, in nature or, in a spiritual way. You might dissociate from a context and just imagine the actual sensation of trust, the actual sensation of being fully accepted. And then just by the act of doing that, I'm giving that very gift to myself. So I'm giving myself a presence that is trustworthy. I'm giving myself acceptance just by tuning in that way. And then from there, I might be able to approach the other person again. My favorite exercise for couples to build trust and build skill in this kind of attention sharing is to just, on a daily basis, take turns listening to each other without interruption and without response. So just you talk for, and for a specific amount of time, for 10 minutes, you just tell me, who are you and what's going on for you? And I just listen. And I don't help you, and I don't respond to you, and I just take it in. And I purposely have an attitude of love and acceptance for whatever you are and whatever is going on for you. And then we trade, and I get to do that. I get to speak and tell you about myself. Once you get more skillful, you can begin to give each other one of the most delicious gifts, which is just reflect back what you heard. Like, if I tell you how I'm feeling, and then you tell me back the essence of what I said, not how you feel about it, not what you think about it, but just tell me back what you heard. That gives me an incredibly satisfying sense of being heard, which is for a lot of, I'd say for most people, one of the most primary needs.
Is there, what do you think about the terminology nonviolent as opposed to compassionate communication? Does that matter to you? Does it have any meaning to you?
It does have meaning to me because the origin of the practice started with Marshall Rosenberg, who is a Jewish man who was living in an area where there was a lot of racial tension and a lot of racial violence. So the fact that he chose the word nonviolence, to me, makes me think of Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and it's part of a movement that's actually designed to change our culture. It's actually, and he described it as, he studied a lot of different religions to try to figure out what love is, because he thought, okay, the opposite of violence is love, but what is love? How do you do love? How do you put it into practice? And that's actually how he came up with the formula for nonviolent communication. So I really like it as a way of acknowledging the social awareness movement.
Okay, I've never heard it described that way, with that awareness of the social activism component, but I really get that, and I really get that from, that's where it was, because it came up around that same time, right? The social activism and the, and the transformation and the peace, love, and all that kind of stuff. So it is about social activism through transforming the way we communicate with ourselves, and then from that, everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, because compassionate communication, though, speaks more to what it is we're wanting to create, which is compassion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like tomato or tomato, eh?
Yeah.
Potato or potato. So okay, so right now we're gonna do some NVC for you. We're gonna do some role playing so you guys can get a taste of what it's like. So we're gonna use some questions that that people have sent. I'm going to use a question that I received about a year ago when I was in Detroit, and I was writing for a beautiful online magazine called Shetroit.com, and I got some questions from readers about their relationships and how to navigate those. So this is one of these questions. We're going to answer it different than I did. So it says, Dear Devi, I'd like to attend a couples workshop with my partner, but he essentially says no whenever I suggest the idea. Without issuing an ultimatum, which I know is not a good idea, how do I communicate how important it is to me? There's a part of me that's really scared because I perceive his reluctance as not caring about our relationship. So I'm going to be the woman in this case, wanting to go to the workshop, and Issa's going to role play the husband, and Issa's going to demonstrate empathy or reflecting. Both.
Yes, empathy. Empathy is reflecting.
Mm. Okay, perfect. All right. So Issa, honey.
Yes, honey.
There's this Tantra workshop coming up, and I would really love for us to attend. I really want us to have more connection and more passion in our relationship, and I would really like some support around having both of us learning how to give each other more pleasure and joy. Is that realistic?
Okay, well, what's coming up for me actually is that I would like to give myself some self-empathy first.
Okay.
In order to make it easier for me to give you some empathy. Okay, so I'm going to tune in. I'm going to tell you out loud what this is normally something I would do internally and silently, but I'm going to do it out loud. So I just heard you make a request that we go to a tantric workshop in order for you to feel better. That's how I heard it. Be happier with me. And I feel scared. My first reaction is that I feel scared because I'm afraid that I will make a fool of myself, that I will be forced to reveal things that seem vulnerable and private to me in a situation where I may feel inadequate. So I feel afraid of being forced to be more vulnerable than I feel comfortable with. And I'm also afraid of not pleasing you and not satisfying you. I'm afraid of losing you by not knowing how to please you and satisfy you. Okay, so that's what's going on inside of me.
Okay, so hold on. I want to point this out for any listeners out there who have actually had this experience. So this is huge. Like that little no, me asking the woman or the person, whoever it is in the relationship, asking the partner to join them for this workshop, and they just say no, right? And we just on the asking side, requesting side, we just hear no, but all that depth is going on underneath that no. There's all that pain.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm not able to say it, you could guess it. You could be guessing all the things that I just said. If you were my wife and you've been married to me for a long time, you could probably guess all those things and then ask me. Like my children have really taught me how to empathize with silence, or just empathize with the word no by just guessing what is going on behind it. And just the act of guessing. Do you feel nervous? Do you are you afraid that you won't have choice? You'll be forced. Comfortable with things like that, then I could say, yeah, that's it, or no, that's not quite it, and that could help
Hey everybody, welcome back. We just lost everybody. We're hoping to get Isa Maria back here in just a few minutes so we can continue our wonderful experience of giving and receiving empathy. And I'm going to answer a question in the meantime that came in using this modality, or attempting to use this modality, about introducing sex toys into the bedroom. Because we've had some, lots of questions about that, and recently a question came in from a woman wanting to know how she should go about introducing sex toys into her sex life with her partner. She says she feels embarrassed about bringing them into the bedroom. She feels embarrassed about the idea of using them, but she's also curious about how they can enhance her sexual pleasure during sexual intercourse. And she's also concerned that her partner, I'm guessing it's a man, she's concerned that her partner might feel intimidated by the experience. So for introducing sex toys into the bedroom, one of my favorite ways of doing it is making it an adventure. So first off, maybe you don't want to just like bust it out without having a conversation about it beforehand. I would recommend asking your partner, maybe letting them know, hey, I've been thinking about using us, not me. You don't want to keep it all about you, but I've been thinking about us using some sex toys during our lovemaking to make it a little bit more fun, or to spice it up for both of us, because it's a joint. Remember, sex is a team sport, and it's a mutual effort. It's a mutual exploration. So introducing the idea at a time when it's non-threatening, and when it's not right in the middle of your sexual play. So perhaps at dinner or while you're out for a walk. And seeing how your partner responds. And if they seem open to the idea, then choosing a sex toy together is a really fabulous way of making it a romantic adventure. So perhaps you can shop online, or you can look in catalogs, or you can even go to a sex toy store together. That's really fun. I really recommend that, because then you can because when you view online, the sizes and the textures can really be surprising when they actually show up at your house. So if you can go to a sex toy company, a reputable sex toy store that sells very high quality, made with good materials. If you can go to a sex toy store that has good quality products, and ask the salesperson. Usually at sex toy stores, they really employ people that know a lot. They know their shit about sex toys. So they can help you find one that's going to work for both of you. So that's what I recommend. And it looks like we have Miss Isa Maria back here.
Hi!
Yay! So we were in the middle of our empathy.
Yes.
Yay! And the network, it exploded.
Yeah.
Skype exploded with our empathy.
Yes. We ended up with sex toys instead. Maybe that was a good thing.
No. So back to our empathy. So you were saying that, because this is huge, I think. This is a source of pain for many people. So as the woman, or the one partner, not always going to say it's the woman, it's the one partner requesting a workshop or some sort of support to enhance the relationship, and the other partner saying no, and the no is because of all the pain. And you were suggesting that I, as the asker, could inquire about the pain if I know the person really well. But this is the key, Isa. Not many people have these tools. So so I'm guessing that the woman the woman, I know it's a woman in this case, who actually wrote this question, she doesn't have the tools of MVC. She just hears no, and she's like, well, what's wrong with me? Because he doesn't want us to have a better sex life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So here's my job as the man, to listen for her. My job is to notice that I'm feeling scared and vulnerable, and then and that I'm hoping for acceptance. I'm hoping to be accepted as I am. I'm realizing that is what my fear is about. I want to be okay. I want it to be okay for me to be who I am, and I don't want to be rejected. So as soon as I have noticed that, it shifts my feeling. I feel a little more present. So now I'm going to turn my attention back to you, my darling, and listen to the request and hear and be curious. What are you feeling and what are you longing for behind your request? Why are you making this request? Because again, a request by itself is dead. It doesn't tell me anything about you. So if I connect your request with what's the feeling behind it and what's the need behind it. So I'm going to guess, Davy, are you feeling a little frustrated and a little bit restless, or do you feel some loneliness towards me? Do you feel some? Yeah, those are my guesses of how you might be feeling. Maybe even a little hopeless, maybe a little bored.
Those two, and you know what's really coming up for me is feeling concerned that you're not attracted to me anymore.
Uh-huh. Okay. Wow. And now that I know that, I completely shift out of, oh no, she's going to reject me. She's not happy with me because I don't do a good enough job of pleasing her. Instead, now that I know why she's asked me the request, I feel compassion. Hence the word compassionate communication. By you being vulnerable enough to reveal to me what your feeling is behind your request, you open a pathway for my compassion. I feel drawn to you. I feel compassion for you. I feel tenderness towards you. Now that I hear that you're worried that I'm not attracted to you. So of course, I want to reassure you, and now I'm interested in your request. If you are wanting to know that I'm attracted to you, and you're wanting there to be attraction and interest for me between us, and you're hoping that this workshop will enhance my sense of attraction to you, or your experience of my attraction to you, now I'm interested. Now I'm available to hear more.
Mm-hmm. So that's so huge, because the thing is, I wasn't even aware that was my concern. Like, all I was hearing was the no and all this, so it was going on subtly, but by you asking me, it really, the asking provides the space, the inquiry. Are you feeling blah, 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 blah? Are you feeling, whatever, bored, whatever, allows me to inquire within myself and find out. It's that process of asking or being asked, yes. Are you feeling this, that allows me to check in and be like, well, no, what I'm actually feeling is this.
Exactly. And it's more useful than me asking you, how are you feeling? Because we're accustomed to, when we hear that question, we answer with a thought. We don't answer with we don't even know how we're feeling. I might just say, I'm feeling that our marriage is not blah, 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 which is not a feeling. So asking someone how they're feeling is usually not helpful, but asking them, are you feeling bored? It doesn't matter if you're right or not, but it helps them to check in with themselves.
Yes, because I run into this a lot, and it's part of our training process, because I used to do the same thing. I feel that, and those aren't feelings; those are thoughts. So feelings are always in the body, right? I feel mad, happy, sad, glad, and so connecting with our feelings actually is a tool for getting present in the body.
Yes,
because you can't connect with how you're feeling if you're not in your body.
Yes, and it's a tool for getting connected with the other person, because if I tell you that I'm feeling scared, that's going to be a whole different, that's going to draw you toward me very differently than if I say, our marriage, I'm not satisfied with our marriage, or something wrong.
Right, exactly. Very key, very key. Yes, the other is then the other is an expression of pain. Right?
Yes.
So I guess that's the key, because, there's so much pain, right? There's so much pain, and we're not always connected with our pain. And sometimes we're not always willing to be, I know for me, I'm not always willing to be vulnerable with my pain, even, having these tools. Sometimes what I want is empathy. Without necessarily asking for it directly, right?
Yes. Now, it's harder to hear a person when they're speaking from the pain of their unmet need, because it's more easier to hear that as an accusation. That's why when there's a lot of pain and you're in a close relationship where there's a lot of emotional charge, it's a lot easier to be heard when you talk about the beauty of the need that you're longing for. Like, for example, if Devi said to me, I'm not really satisfied with our relationship, I want to go to a workshop, I'm going to be scared. But if she says to me, I would love to enhance our relationship and bring it even more closer to I want to really bring it to its full potential. I'd like to really, both of us, be really deeply satisfied sexually and emotionally together. I'd really like to have a really deep sense of trust and intimacy. She might be feeling incredibly angry at me, but if she tells me what she would like, it opens my heart and draws me toward her. It's a really important distinction.
So that is a very important distinction. So that's the alchemy of it, and that is the foundation of that is me knowing myself, what it is that I'm wanting instead of, what it is I'm yearning for. So that's the alchemy. That's the switch. We go from our pain, my need for respect, my need for, whatever connection is not met, to what would it be like if that longing, that yearning was met, and then speaking from that point.
Yes.
About what it is we want to create, as opposed to the pain of not having what we want to create.
Yes.
That's a huge shift.
It's a huge shift in ourselves first, before we even speak. Yes. It's a shift in our own focus within ourselves.
So, I know you say in your bio, and I know many people talk about using nonviolent communication as a spiritual path. What do you think about that?
For me, it's a way of connecting with the sacred. I guess that's what it means. The spiritual path is to me. It's a way of connecting to the magic and the beauty of life through the energy of the needs, by basically taking, when I feel uncomfortable, when I feel unhappy in some way, to actually allow that feeling to guide my attention to what I'm yearning for. That opens my awareness to the beauty that's available to me. Even feeling the sadness of not feeling the beauty that I wish I was feeling in my life brings me closer to feeling it, because my attention turns from hell to heaven. My attention turns from the mundane, the lifeless view of the world, to the sacred, the magical and beautiful view of the world.
So this is really, the people that talk about Abraham Hicks and focusing on what you want and, being the vibrational resonance of that. This is really the tool to do exactly that.
It is, for me, the tool to do that. And the part that they don't talk about so much in Abraham Hicks, which I am a very big fan of, is the feeling part. Yeah. And for me, that is a really big part of the alchemy, is allowing ourselves to feel the pain. So giving ourselves the kind of loving attention that makes pain transformative, that makes a painful experience into a healing experience.
Mm-hmm. So because we're taught in this culture to run away from our pain, and yet pain is the kind of the access point. I call it the little red flag, letting us know that we have an unmet need, that exactly. We're yearning for something different. And so if we keep trying to ignore it and shove it away and sit on top of it, then we never actually look directly at what it is we want to achieve, to have, to cultivate, to call into our lives. And that's also, keeps the shadow. It keeps us separated from our shadow self. And I know in many, I know in, what is it, Jungian, I never say that right, philosophy, but in other philosophies as well, it's the shadow self that contains so much of our creative potential and genius, actually. So if we're running away in terror from all of our painful emotions, and we never actually get to heal them, we just suppress them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I really love that about this modality, that it embraces the pain.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yet transforms it.
It transforms it by embracing it, yes. Because, and again, you think about a child. When a child gets hurt and goes running to the parent, mainly what the child needs is to be heard talking about what happened. And if the parent pushes the child away, then the child has an unsatisfying experience. But it's the attention, it's our own our own conscious awareness giving attention to the painful state that allows the shift to occur.
So it just wants to be heard. So sometimes our painful emotions are just like little children that just want to be heard.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and like you said before, they are the flags that point our attention to where we want to go, what direction we want to move in.
So then let's in the time that we have left, let's talk about request. So request is the how-to, or it's the strategy, right? How we get from A to B. Because oftentimes we confuse, like, what it is I'm needing. Well, I need to go to the grocery store, or I need to get a better job. That's actually a strategy. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes with people learning this modality, or just in general in life, we confuse strategy with need. So could you clarify what strategy is and how that relates to request, making a request of ourselves or others?
Yes. Attachment to strategy is a way of saying separate. So if I say I need to go to the store, or let's say in an intimate relationship, I need more sex, that is my attachment to what I want to do about my need. But if I say that I feel I need, if I connect to the need first, if I tell my partner what the need is behind the idea that the activity of more sex will fulfill me more, if I talk about the kind of fulfillment, the flavor of fulfillment I'm after, maybe I want to feel more closer to you. Maybe I want to feel closer to my own ecstasy, my own capacity for ecstasy. Maybe I want to have maybe I need more comfort. Maybe I'm scared or insecure in my life and I want to feel more comfort. Maybe I want more excitement and adventure. So the reason why I want to do the activity will, again, bring the other person closer to me.
But isn't sex a need?
Sex, we could say that sex is a need, but most of the time, sex is a strategy.
To meet a need.
Yes, to meet there are many needs that are met, or that we try to meet with the strategy of sex.
Beautiful point. Mm-hmm. Beautiful point. So it's understanding what the sex is going to fulfill within us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we tend to feel, so if I just make the request, if I say to my wife, I want more sex, I am not building a bridge. But if I say to my wife, I love you and I would like to show you more effectively, or I feel lonely and I would like to be closer to you, or whatever it is, and I would like to have sex be a way that we do that. Then she knows where I'm coming from. So we distinguish between a request and a demand. Demand is I'm attached to the strategy, and I will hurt you or withdraw from you, or do some kind of emotional punishment if you don't give me the activity that I want. A request is I have a suggestion of a gift that you could give me to help me meet a need of mine that's meaningful to me, to meet a yearning in my heart. And then the thing that I love about request is if you know what my need is, then if the activity that I suggest isn't the one that you would choose, then we can negotiate what might be a strategy that meets both of our needs.
That is priceless. So if I, in relationships, because this comes up for so many people, like, you know, one partner wants sex more than the other. That's like, regardless of your sexual orientation, that is across the board. That is always happening, especially in long-term relationships. One partner wants more sex, the other partner wants less sex. So how do we build a bridge? So if me as the partner who wants more sex, if I can understand what's motivating me, what needs are met for me, like I want to feel connection, I want to feel pleasure, I want to feel that bliss and that mindless joy and that, you know, that intimacy. And I express from the need that's being met, and then the other partner, the one I'm wanting to invite into this experience with me, if they're not turned on by the idea of sex, but they're turned on by the idea of closeness and connection, then we can create a strategy to meet that need for closeness and connection that may or may not look like having sex.
Exactly.
Yay!
Yes. And the other person who doesn't want to have sex, that no is a yes to something else. That person is longing for something else. Maybe they're wanting to be heard more. Maybe they have been talking and not feeling like they've been really making a connection verbally. Or maybe they need more rest. Or maybe I would say a lot of times people who don't want to have as much sex are actually wanting more intimacy on a different level. And then once if that was understood, then there could be a strategy where there could be more talking and more sex, for example.
Exactly. That's such a key point. So when we say no to sex, it's because we have something else we're saying yes to, and I find that as well. And even in my own personal life, I am inspired to make love because I feel connected to the person. If I don't feel connected, then I'm really not interested in the slippy bang bang fucky fucky. I want to feel the connection, and that's what inspires me to open my legs, shall we say.
Yes.
So we have 3 short minutes left. The hour goes by so fast, and it's been such a pleasure having my birthday with you. I want to do it again when it's not my birthday.
Yes.
So if people want to work with you, couples or singles, you do offer long-distance coaching, and how can they get a hold of you?
They can email me at isamagic, that's ISAMAGIC @gmail.com. Or they can call me on the phone, 808-652-6139. They can also look online at KawaiiNVC.com or HawaiiNVC.org.
Fabulous. And I'm going to put up all of Isa's links on my blog, davieward.me. So if you're curious about how to connect with her, or you want to listen to the show again, that will be at davieward.me by Saturday morning. And again, I want to thank all you listeners for tuning in and joining us this evening on my birthday. I hope this was a valuable experiment for you. It sure was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure.
It was awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful week. Blessings.
Blessings.